can't stop the signal now.
Welcome back to another Rebel Rant. So on August 27th, I was actually checking some movie times because with the economy and society in general struggling to reopen, and in some places having better luck than others, I was actually interested to see if there was anything showing in the theater that I might actually want to leave the house to go see. I will not wear a mask. I still need to confirm with my local theater whether or not they're forcing people to wear masks, though based on the rest of local businesses that I've been to in the last week, there's a pretty good chance that they are, in which case I will not be seeing any movies anytime soon yet. But I did notice something though when I was checking out the theater showings. So if you see here, and this is for a local theater, and if you'll notice something, they all have something in common. They all have a Rotten Tomatoes score. And I found this to be very interesting. I've actually never used this website before, showtimes.com. I just kind of stumbled on it by accident. And I thought this was a fairly interesting feature, even though personally I have no faith or confidence in Rotten Tomatoes anymore. But the fact is, it's still there. So if we keep going down the list from August 27th, every single last one of them has a Rotten Tomatoes score. And then I stumbled across Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, along with Star Wars The Force Awakens. And I came across a rather glaring discrepancy. As you can see for yourself, The Force Awakens has their Rotten Tomatoes score just like every other movie entry. However, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, has no such Rotten Tomatoes score. And I found this very interesting. Literally every other single movie on this list has their score posted, except for the original trilogy. And you have to ask yourself why that is. So I went ahead and took a look at the Rotten Tomatoes website directly. Well, what do you know? We've got a 94% critic score and a 97% audience score for Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. And if you recall, The Force Awakens had a 93 and an 86% respectively. Empire Strikes Back has a better score than The Force Awakens, in spite of the Rotten Tomatoes malarkey that I'm sure most of you know about by now, where the audience score was permanently fixed at 86%. This was pretty well covered. This was before Rebel Rant came into being. A lot of channels went over it. They documented it quite thoroughly. And if you haven't heard about it, feel free to check those channels out. A lot of them did stories on this. Rotten Tomatoes fixed the score at 86% for The Force Awakens. And now, when these movies are being re-released in theaters because the economy has been shut down, Hollywood has been shut down, nothing is being made, nothing is being released. So they're trying to get anything out of this movie, The Force Awakens, trying to squeeze it for every last drop of blood. But it's going up against The Empire Strikes Back. And it makes you wonder, why would they not include the Rotten Tomatoes score for The Empire Strikes Back? So you can see for yourself, Empire Strikes Back has a better Rotten Tomatoes score. So it seems kind of fishy there. And I can guarantee you that Disney has been hemorrhaging money for quite some time now, before this whole beer virus malarkey even began. Disney overextended itself pretty badly. They were desperate to bring in revenue, which is why they made the purchase on Lucasfilm. spending money that they didn't have. And now that they haven't been able to make money off of their own Star Wars movies like they thought that they were going to, they thought it was the golden goose that couldn't be cooked. And they're still desperate to make it work. Now, so far, that list from Showtime's was from August 27th. Now, if we take a look at Box Office Mojo from the week of August 21st to the 27th, as you can see, there's not a single mention of any Star Wars movies. So I'm still kind of learning the ropes here about some of this stuff. I'm used to using Box Office Mojo to check, weekend results and stuff like that. And, well, since both movies did play on August 27th, I'm not sure if this means that neither one of them made any money. As you can see, the bottom movie on this list is The Grizzlies at number 20 for $364. So I can only assume at this point that neither one of them made more than $364, which could explain why it's not showing up on this list at all. However, if we go back to the actual weekend of August 21st to the 23rd, well, let's go ahead and take a quick look here. So you've got, there we go, 2020 re-release of Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Boom chakalaka. So yeah, coming in at number 6. At this point, it has been out for 6 weeks for a total gross of just over $1 million. And for that weekend, they pulled in $230,000. For a movie that's as old as it is, I'd say this is actually pretty decent here, especially under the current conditions. Other channels have done some videos on when Episode 5 was first re-released in like drive-ins and whatnot, and it was handily beating the Disney Star Wars movies. Now, if you'll notice, we got Unhinged up here at number 1 for $4 million gross, week 2 total of $5 million. I'm pretty sure that's a new movie. SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run. I'm not familiar with that one, so I'm assuming that's also a new movie. Sitting at $550,000 for the weekend and $1.4 million total for 2 weeks running. And as you can see here with a quick glance, you got several other movies sitting under or well below $1 million total gross. So that should tell you something right there. The only one that's even coming close at that point is the Goonies re-release at $825,000 total for a 6-week stretch. And Goonies is one of my personal favorites. Now, the only other one in the top 10 here that actually beats The Empire Strikes Back that is not a new movie is the 2020 re-release of Jurassic Park, coming in at $180,000 for the weekend, $1.386 million total, and it would appear that this is the first week of its release, if I'm reading that correctly. Even though I'm not 100% sure on that, because it does say week 1 up here for a couple of these other movies. So yeah, I'm not really sure what that means when that hyphen is sitting there instead of an actual number. Regardless, it's yeah, Jurassic Park is a very popular movie, so it's not too surprising that it's doing as well as it is. I am curious though as to how long it's actually been out on this re-release. Ooh, that's disappointing. Yeah, we got number 9, Back to the Future, another one of my personal favorites. Ooh, it's barely, not quite bringing in a total of $250,000 with 4 weeks released. I am a bit disappointed at that one. I do love that movie. But I digress. Let's go ahead and continue down this list here. Hold on here. Seems to be a problem. I don't see Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens on this list at all. That must be embarrassing. And, well, I guess you can see why Disney is so desperate to hide the Rotten Tomato scores of Star Wars Episode 5 in conjunction with The Force Awakens. It would appear that Disney is pretty desperate to hide the actual success of the original trilogy. They are still booking hard to push their own version of Star Wars. I am telling you folks, they're hemorrhaging money. They've been hemorrhaging money for a long time now. They purchased Lucasfilm and the Star Wars franchise with the hopes that it was a slam dunk. They would be able to make literally billions of dollars off of it, which they did. However, it's pretty obvious at this point that they did not make nearly as much as they were hoping for. And honestly, they should have, considering the franchise. It's still unbelievable that Disney managed to actually torpedo arguably the biggest movie franchise in Hollywood history. This is unreal, folks. To actually live through this stuff. Yeah, there's a lot more stuff going on out in the world. As far as pop culture goes, this is just like... this is pretty much Armageddon at this point, as far as entertainment and pop culture goes. So, yeah, good job there, Disney. Good job there, Kathleen Kennedy. Way to sink the ship. So, let's go ahead and take a look at something else here. So, we've got the Box Office Mojo webpage for Episode 7, The Force Awakens. And if we drop down here to the release group, the original release was from December 16th to January 9 of 2016. And yeah, as you can see, it brought in a decent amount of money there. I did go see it myself. Went in with high hopes and came out with a sinking feeling. But yeah, like many other people, I gave The Last Jedi a chance. I was hoping it was just a fluke. The blatant plagiarism of A New Hope was just their way of setting up something better. But we're not going to get into that one. That's a whole different rant there. If we take a look at the 2020 re-release from July 9th to August 13th of 2020. Which is a little confusing because on August 27th it was showing in my local theater. So I'm not 100% sure how that works. But this is what they have up on Box Office Mojo. So, oh my goodness. Yeah, as of today, August 31st of 2020, it has a domestic take of hyphen. Assuming that means 0, not 100% sure. International take of $412. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at this. Yeah, so as you can see here, the rollout for domestic, there's just nothing there. International, yeah, Hungary, New Zealand. Hungary wasn't even interested. Did release in New Zealand on July 9th. Opening day of $349 and a gross of $412. This is Box Office Mojo here, powered by IMDb Pro. So I'm assuming these numbers are fairly accurate. Personally, that's just hilarious and not too surprising. But you know what, just for fun, let's go ahead and take a closer look at The Empire Strikes Back while we're here. So here we've got the 2020 re-release from June 5th to July 23rd. Okay, so it looks like this part of the website is not completely up to date because it was definitely showing as of August 27th. It's not showing today in my local theater, so I'm not sure if it was another just super limited engagement or what the deal was exactly. It was definitely showing after July 23rd there. As you can see, the domestic was $1,015,000 with an international of $353,000 for a total of $1.368 million, at least as of July 23rd. So clearly there is some data missing, and I'm not 100% sure where to find that kind of data. Like I said, I'm still learning the ropes here. But this is still very telling, even with incomplete data here. Oh my goodness, it's too much. This is just, so as you can see, Disney is still desperate to squeeze every last drop that they can out of the Disney Star Wars movies. It's just sad at this point, folks. They've gone so far as to hide the Rotten Tomatoes score of Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, in a futile attempt to steer people towards The Force Awakens. It's so blatant and just so sad. I just can't, folks. I just can't. This is incredible. It really is. Disney is in trouble. So when you hear these rumors, like say from Doomcock, where he's got some I've watched a lot of his videos, and from what I've seen, he's got some very solid sources. Rumors are rumors, but more often than not, the information that he gets from these sources turns out to be true. And with who doggy, word is coming down that Get Woke, Go Broke is being taken seriously. We'll find out here. Still not seeing any signs that anything's actually happening behind closed doors, especially with this kind of thing going on. But it does seem clear that Disney is absolutely desperate to wring out every last drop from their failed Star Wars franchise. And it can also be reflected in the fact that Daisy Ridley has been having difficulty getting work after the completion of the Disney Star Wars trilogy. In an interview with EntertainmentWeekly.com, Daisy Ridley played Rey Palpatine, the face of Disney Star Wars. So after Rise of Skywalker hit the theaters in December of 2019, she couldn't get work. Her phone was not ringing like you would expect it to after such a major blockbuster type deal. She wasn't getting nothing. Her initial reaction was, no one wants to employ me. That's, well, yeah, if nobody's calling you, that's a pretty true statement right there. She goes on to state how she actually auditioned for a lot of different parts and didn't get a single one. And as of August 27th of this year, the only thing that she's been able to get is some sort of voice work for a video game called 12 Minutes, published by Annapurna's video game division, which I have no idea who that is. So, yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'll probably look that up later. If you know what Annapurna is, yeah, leave a comment down below. I have absolutely no idea. Not that it's all that relevant to this video, so we're not going to dig too deep into that. And she did recently received voice parts on some sort of animated film project for the Oculus Quest platform. Roger that. Featuring other big names. Well, those big names have been around a while. They've been on the silver screen multiple times over the course of decades at this point. So it's, yeah, once you hit that point, that level in your career, as far as acting goes, you can kind of branch out and play with different things that aren't considered mainstream. That's their prerogative. But when you're trying to break out and you have a big role like this in, say, Star Wars, not really the best indicator. I'm sorry. So it just goes to show that it just puts a finer point on the fact that Disney has bombed miserably when it comes to the Star Wars legacy. Kathleen Kennedy is a failure. Lucasfilm, under her leadership, is a failure. Disney has... Disney did the impossible. They sunk the Titanic. This is just... It just doesn't end. They continue to try to squeeze blood from a stone, and honestly, I find it embarrassing for them, especially when they're going so far as to hide the Rotten Tomato scores of The Empire Strikes Back in a vain attempt to keep The Force Awakens from being embarrassed. It's just sad, folks. So, Yeah, I don't think we're going to beat this dead horse any more than we already have. It's just Disney is hemorrhaging money. They were hemorrhaging money before the beer bug pandemic, and I believe they were in trouble when they purchased Lucasfilm. They placed a huge bet on what they thought was a no-lose horse. And then they turned around and they broke its legs. So with that said, this has been another Rebel Rant. Speaking into the void.
Can't stop the signal.